இங்கே குழந்தை கத்துது. அதை மியூட் பண்ணணும்ல. பாஸ்கர் சார் வீட்டில். So once again, welcome all for the second session of day 1 FDP. The title of the session is Step-by-Step Numerical Computation of Genetic Algorithm for Solving Simple Mathematical Equality Problem. So now, Bhaskar sir has explained us what evolutionary algorithm is. Now next, as a next step, what are we going to do? We are going to apply that algorithm to solve a very simple mathematical problem which is known for all of us, even to a small school kid. The small equality problem that has been considered here for discussion is a plus 2b plus 3c plus 4d equals 30. So it is a simple equality problem. So in the left hand side, we have a simple equation which involves 4 unknown variables a, b, c, d, and in right hand side, we have 30, right? So now for attacking this problem, we are going to apply the genetic algorithm. Clear? So genetic algorithm, evolutionary algorithm, there is no much deviation. The deviation from algorithm to algorithm depends only upon the operators what we apply. Suppose if you use PSO, then there we will be updating velocity and other stuff. And here we will be having like all the operators what Bhaskar sir has discussed just now, it is going to be employed here also. So you need not to worry much. And let us take this problem and solve this problem for one generation, say one iteration. So it is very well clear that the genetic algorithm or evolutionary algorithm, it is a pure iterative technique. So normally we start with the solution and later on we will end at an converged solution. So normally if it is an traditional technique to solve any optimization problem, we will end with the solution. We will not start with the solution. That is a basic difference we have to know between a conventional traditional technique and bio-inspired evolutionary algorithm. If you are going for evolutionary algorithm, we will start with the solution. Normally, if it is a traditional technique, we will end with the solution. But here, we will start with the solution randomly. But at the end, we will get the optimal solution, say near optimal solution, because it is a probabilistic technique done. So now next is how to formulate a problem. In that text box, most of you have given question like they explain how to formulate problem, how to formulate objective function, what is this constraint, this, that. So for all those questions, I think now you will get the answers very clearly with this problem solution. So now that in the question itself, they have given some hints. One hint is take integer variables. Second hint is go for population size 6. Then assume single point crossover and also apply Rowlett wheel selection. So these are the inputs we need to consider while start solving the problem. So now as a first step, see there are some steps involved in solving the problem using GA before going to see in detail all the steps one after the other. First, let us see how to formulate the problem, because any optimization problem, it always starts with the problem formulation. We say problem description. How are you going to describe the problem, right? So we know there is an equality problem here, which is a plus 2b plus 3c plus 4d equal to 30. Clear? So now, if I'm going to have an appropriate values for a, b, c, d such that this left hand side equals right side, then definitely that equation terms will be equalized in both sides and then objective is met. Am I right? So in that case, now the equation is going to be transformed to the form either 30 minus of a plus 2b plus 3c plus 4d or a plus 2b plus 3c plus 4d minus 30. Both the way it can be considered. So now our objective here, see, either you can go for minimizing objective or maximizing objective. Here it is going to be minimizing. Why? Because we are going to minimize the deviation between the left hand side and right hand side. Minimize the deviation between a plus 2b plus 3c plus 4d of minus 30. Done. So now we have formulated the objective. So our goal is to reduce the deviation between LHS and RHS. And now that is what f of x is, what that x denotes. So here that x is nothing but the decision variables. We call it as independent variables. In mathematics, we used to say independent variables. Those variables have more influence on the objective. Objective is f of x. This f, it is a function of x. X is nothing but a vector which has got 4 variables a, b, c, d. So our decision variables, our design variables, are say sometimes called as free parameters, or going to be a, b, c, d for this problem. So now here we are going to have a, b, c, d. Now next, audio known எழுதுறாங்க. உங்களுக்கு ஆடியோ இருக்கா? ஆடியோ நோன் சார், பாஸ்கர் சார் ஹேண்ட் ரைட்டிங் மாதிரி இருக்கு. நீங்க அதர் சைடு நீங்க செக் பண்ணுங்களேன், உங்களுக்கு நான் பேசுறது கேட்குது. chat box வருது. Audio is low. Audio good. Few people says audio is good. Few people says it is not audible and it is not clear. Please check with your machine volume. Please raise the volume of your personal machine, because here again we are parallelly checking with that other systems also. Here audio problem is not here. So kindly check your personal systems whether you have raised the volume. Some of you has written audio no on the slide. Please remove that. Remove that annotation, please. Most of them have given answers. Audio is good. We will proceed faster. Yes. Done. Now the problem for the problem formulation is concerned. First step is to find the goal, that is the objective. Next is to decide the decision variables. So here the decision variables are A, B, C, D. So now what is the size of the decision variables? 4. So the dimension is going to be 4. Now already I said we will have to start with the solution, random solution, which may be feasible, which may not be feasible, but it is not naturally optimal. So that random solution, how it is going to be represented, clear. And moreover, we have given a clue, we had given a clue or hint in the beginning of problem statement itself. Let those variables be an integer, clear. So now let us assume A, B, C, D are the integer variables, and now the solution, it appears as 1 cross 4 vector. So 1 row, 4 column. So it says one solution. One solution involves 4 variables. So not one variable is one solution. 4 variables at a stretch forming a vector is considered as one single solution. So right now this ABCD as a vector denotes only one single solution. So with single solution, we are not going to start the procedure. So but now this is the representation of a solution as a first step. Next step, how are you going to impose the constraint? So one basic constraint normally we need to know is the boundary constraint. Whether it is unconstrained problem or constraint problem, definitely we will have to have the boundary constraint to speed up, to catalyze the reactions faster. So now here, instead of going for a very larger search space, we can reduce the search space between 1 to 30 for each of the variables A, B, C, D, so that we can fasten the convergence. Is it not? Because we know that A plus 2B plus 4C plus something in the left side should be equal to 30. So why is it I should search for the space outside this region 30? So let me restrict the boundary constraint to 1 to 30 for each of the variables. Even at this stage, you can have different search space of different variables also if you want to impose that as again additional constraint. So there is a flexibility in formulating the problem to the designer side. So now let us start with the solution. As a first step, we will go with the initialization. We have different steps in solving the problem. As a first step, first let us initialize. So what does this initialization represent? Initialization is like, we start with group of solutions. Already I said how to represent a solution. Now we are going to start with the group of solutions, because see, with one solution, definitely it would be very, very tedious, is it not? So let us have group of solutions. So those group of solutions are going to be called as a population. In genetic algorithm, we have a term, we have a terminology to be used for, to be called for, that is called as a population. So population consists of group of solution. Each solution is called as a chromosome in GA. So chromosome of 1, it is with one solution, ABCD, clear. And let us randomly generate values for these ABCD in the range 1 to 30, right? So for first solution, we have randomly generated 12, 5, 23, 8. I think the slide is very clear here. And so for first solution is 12, 5, 23, 8. And now in the problem statement, we have what is that? We have decided to have 6 chromosomes. There is no restrictions. You can have 100 chromosomes also. Now, to reduce the complexity of the burden, we have considered 6 chromosomes. Done. So now here next, after this initialization process, I think now you are clear with this. We have now finished step 1, initialization. We have got a size, matrix size, 6 row, 4 column. 6 row, 4 column. Each row represents one solution. I have 6 solutions now. Done. And now next is, let us go for the next step. See here, I have shown you a matrix. So this matrix is the answer for the first step, which is initialization. Randomly, we have started up with the solution. Done. So now we have 6 solutions in our hand. Now next step is going to, see, I have solution set. Done. Now, how am I going to test the quality of the solution? Definitely, I will have to know, right? How are you going to evaluate each and every solution? So that process is now carried out with the next terminology called function evaluation, right? So now already we have decided with, we have formulated an objective function, is it not? That is a plus 2b plus 3c plus 4d minus 30, is it not? We are interested to minimize this objective, am I right? So now let us find the objective function value for each of this chromosome, each of this solution in the next second step. So also I have shown you how to find out the objective value also. And I have used a term called ABS. So what is this ABS? ABS is absolute value. Why? Because it's sometimes, see, it may give negative answer also, because it can be either 30 minus or this minus 30. So better to avoid all this problem, let us have modular function. So I have used ABS. ABS is the inbuilt function available in MATLAB, where we can get the magnitude alone. So now for the first chromosome 12, 5, 23, 8, 12 is A, 5 is B, 23 is C, 8 is D. Substitute that in the equation F underscore OBJ, then you will get 93. The same way you arrive at answers for the remaining, the rest of the chromosomes in the population set. So now we have got that next matrix, is it not? I think now the second step is also done. So I have got objective function value for all the chromosomes in the population set. And now next is the step 3, where we are going to form a parent set. First set was the random set, is it not? Next set is going to arrive at a set called as parent set. I'm going to select a parent pool, mating pool, those who are going to undergo reproduction to produce offspring. Done. So now already these things are explained by Bhaskar sir very well. Let us go into that application of those theories and concepts in selecting the chromosome to become a parent for offspring production. Done. Now how are you going to select? So what is it? What is the step? What is the procedure? What is the process we are going to follow in order to select a chromosome as a parent? Done. So for doing that, first I should know what is it fitness. Fitness in the sense, what is this fitness? See, I have 6 chromosomes, I have 6 solutions. Which chromosome is weaker, which chromosome is stronger, which chromosome is really fit to be selected as a parent? Is it not? Not all the chromosomes have the fitness, is it not? Some will have the fitness and some will not have. So how are you going to decide this particular chromosome has got the fitness? Even we can tell, right, what is the right solution actually? LHS should be equal to right hand side, is it not? So naturally, if it is going to be if you are going to have the appropriate answers for ABCD, naturally, F objective, what should be the F objective? It should be 0, am I right? So if a particular solution has got a 0 objective value, naturally that particular solution is strongly fit to be available in the mating pool, am I right? So now our next step is to know the fitness, to evaluate the fitness numerically by number. Now what are we going to do? We are going to use this formula, which is showing fitness of each individual can be calculated as 1 divided by F objective. but I have used 1 divided by 1 plus f objective. Why? Because to avoid the divide by 0 problem. Okay. So otherwise, if objective becomes 0 at some point, you will get infinite. So sometimes that will hinder the uh, process in the computer. So we will avoid that. So now next is 1 by 94. And I don't know who is scribbling. Who is doing scribbling? I don't know. Audio, no? So please check your site for audio, sir. Go to the box, text box. Text box ஏதாவது queries இருக்கா பாருங்க. சார் நமக்கு கேக்குது தானே? பாஸ்கர் சார் ஃபோன் பண்ணி கேளுங்க. பாஸ்கர் சார் வந்துட்டு பாஸ்கர் சார்க்கே ஃபோன் பண்ணி கேளுங்க கேட்கும். இல்ல. ஓகே. செக் பாக்ஸ்ல எதுவும் பார்க்கணுமா? இல்ல டெக்ஸ்ட் பாக்ஸ் சம்திங். Okay, okay. Please disable participants annotations.
No, we have disabled.
Already we disabled. Ma'am, it is audible only. Thank you, Victoria Jansi, ma'am. Thank you. Okay. So now next, when having obtained the objective function value, the moment, let us find out the fitness value for each chromosome also. So now instead of 1 by 93, I have done 1 by 94 just to avoid the divide by 0 error, and I have got an answer of 0.0106. The same way, calculate fitness of I. Fitness of I. I denotes the ith individual. Ith individual varies from 1 to 6. So for each individual, calculate the fitness. Done? Right. So now that is okay. So now that is done. Next, I'm projecting a table where we have initial population in left side, and that is followed by its corresponding objective value. And in the third column, we have the associated fitness of each and every individual, every solution. Is it not? I think you can understand. Let us take the first solution, 12, 5, 23, 8. Substituting that in that equation, a plus 2b plus 3c plus 4d minus 30, then you will get 93. Then immediately do 1 over 1 plus 93, then you will get 0.0106. Okay. So now next is finding out the selection probability. See, in selection process, we have two steps. First step is finding the selection probability. What is the probability of the particular chromosome to be selected as a parent? Okay, that is the next step. So yes, I have the objective function value, I have the fitness value done. Next is to know what is the probability for each individual to be selected as a parent. So now let us find the probability also. We have learned all this probability in mathematics in schooling itself, but still let me show that formula to find out the probability here. So this is the probability. P of I is equal to fitness of I divided by total fitness. Each chromosome has its own fitness, is it not? Then similarly, I have 6 chromosomes, so I have 6 fitness numbers. You add up all that, then you will arrive at the total fitness. In order to know the probability of each chromosome to be selected as a parent, let us find out fitness of that particular individual divided by the total fitness. Done. So it is so simple. Like if it is going to be for the first chromosome has the objective function value 93. Then its fitness is 1 over 94, 0.0106. Now what is its probability? P of 1 is equal to 0.0106, its particular fitness divided by total fitness. So total fitness, it comes around 0.0845, which is displayed in the table itself. So now it is very clear that P of 1 is going to be 0.0106 divided by 0.0845. It comes around 0.1254. So now the same way you proceed for rest of the chromosomes also. Now the probability meaning that the chance, what is the chance for every solution to act as a parent, to take part in the reproduction process, is now displayed under that P of I. So P of I, it is 0.1254. What does it represent? 0.1254. What does it mean? 0.1254 is nothing but 12.54%. Okay, total is 100%. Out of 100%, this particular first chromosome, first solution, what we have randomly generated has got only 12.54% to be selected as a parent in the meeting pool. We are going to form a pool, is it not? Pool of chromosome, which will act as a parent to produce offspring. So in that case, each chromosome has got its own probability. Let us look at it. For the first chromosome, see, now you just find out which chromosome, which solution has the higher probability to be selected as a parent, which has a higher probability to be selected as a parent. It is very well clear with the table that, see, 0.1254, 0.1456, 0.1408, and the fourth chromosome has got a percentage of 25.21, which denotes that the fourth solution is a stronger chromosome. It is more fitter, okay, when you compare it with the competent chromosomes. Done. So now similarly, we have found out the probability for every solution. Now next, what is this C of I? With P of I, can we freeze this? No. Once this probability of each chromosome is done, we will have to look at the cumulative probability also. Why? The use of the cumulative probability will be discussed in the next step, which is to select pool of parent. First step, select the parent, is it not? First step, A we have seen, we have completed, we have calculated the selection probability. Having obtained the selection probability, next we are going to select the pool of parent. Now for selection process, do you remember Bhaskar sir said there are a number of techniques, number of approaches to be followed as a selection process. Now even sir has explained very well with the Rowlett wheel. Now we are going to use that Rowlett wheel arrangement to select a particular parent. Okay, so now in order to apply this Rowlett wheel process, see this Rowlett wheel, it is a game. Okay, now for selection process can be thought as a Rowlett wheel game, correct? Now how are you going to map these two? For that we need to have the cumulative values also. Now how to obtain the cumulative values? See that you go to the table back again, look at the last column. In the last column here, first for the first solution I have 0.1254, done, for same number. Then the next solution, see, it is like I am going to allot some space, some share for this particular chromosome in the Rowlett wheel. Rowlett wheel is going to cover 100% of the wheel. In the 100%, it covers 100%, right? Now each chromosome has got its own share, is it not? So now what is that share and where is that share? That we should know. What is that share and how much, that we have calculated in P of I itself. But where is it we are going to have? Because it is going to be allotted contiguously, contiguous segment by segment after segment. We are going to have all the chromosomes one after the other. So for the first chromosome, I repeat, Rowlett wheel, it covers 100%, 0 to 1, 100%, 0 to 1. Clear? So now 0 to 1, I repeat, now from 0 to 0.1254, chromosome 1 is seated. Because chromosome 1 has got a share of 12.54% with it. So now chromosome 1 is going to occupy, because see, the first solution has got a share of 12.54%. So now let us go to the Rowlett wheel now. See, Rowlett wheel, black color numbers, black segments show the cumulative values, right? And inside the wheel, we have some shares for each and every chromosomes. Shares, see how many shares we have? Totally 6 shares, correct? And each has got different colors. Now to start with, let us start with the light blue color. So under this Rowlett wheel, I have shown colors also. See here, light blue color, first chromosome. And that magenta color denotes the second chromosome. Green, last one, green partition shows the 6th chromosome, means 6th solution. Likewise, we have given portion, we have given segment, we have given share for each and every solution in that Rowlett wheel first. Now, how are you going to give the share? For the first chromosome, which has got 12.54%, let us occupy between 0 and 0.1254, done. Now, the next segment starts from 0.1254 for the second chromosome and it ends at 0.2710. That is why I asked you to make that table last column C of I. So C of I, you are going to cumulate all that. For the first fellow has got 12.54% in the sense, the second fellow has got 14.56%. Am I right? You add 12.54 plus 14.56, then you will get 27.10. So now between 0.1254 and 0.2710, the second chromosome is just fitted. So this is how the rest of the chromosomes are all fitted, are all shared in the complete Rowlett wheel, which covers 100%. Sir said very clearly, this Rowlett wheel game, no, in that game, we are going to spin this 6 times. As many solutions. We have 6 solutions. Let us spin 6 times. And each time, let us see which individual comes under the pointer. So for the first spin, see the spin, it is given, the direction of the spin, it is given, no, as arrow, right, clockwise. So for one run, again, that particular pointer will point one particular individual. Is it not? So similarly, we are going to give 6 spins. Otherwise, suppose instead of rotating the wheel, what is that? See, how are you going to map that numerically, man? So what we can do, we can throw a dice 6 times and see where is the die going to fall. Correct. In which individual it is going to fall. And we can select that particular individual as a parent. Am I right? So for doing that, what are you going to do? We are going to randomly generate 6 numbers. See, randomly I'm going to have 6 numbers. One vector, one row, 6 column, generate at a stretch 6 random numbers between 0 and 1, excluding 0 and 1. Okay, see, I have given R of 1, R of 2, R of 3 till R of 6. So each one denotes a random number which lies between 0 and 1. Now let us take one example. R of 2 is 0.284. R of 2 is 0.284 in the sense I have got one random number for the second throw. R of 2, 0.284 in the sense second throw or second spin of the Rowlett wheel. We have 0.284. Can you tell me where can you fit that 0.284? Definitely 0.284 will come into that gray color segment. Am I right? Look at the cumulative values. Where can you fit that 0.284 random number here? Only between 0.2710 and 0.4118. Naturally, it will fall into that gray area, which is now the third chromosome. So it is very clear that the third chromosome, say the third solution now has, it has won the game now. As a, we are going to throw 6 times, is it not? So each time we have got some number. So now we have answers now. Suppose if R of 5 is 0.398, again you check. Where does that 0.398 fit into that Rowlett field? Choose that color. See that color, no, denotes which chromosome, select that chromosome. This way, now we have selected the mating pool here. So now I have given only one example because we are running short of time, right? So now see here, initially we started with one pool called as random population pool. Okay, so now here we are going to replace that random pool with a parent pool. We call it as mating pool because these members are going to act as a parent for reproduction process. So now this mating pool, now see here, now we are going to generate new chromosomes. The sequence is going to be changed. So now the second chromosome, now it becomes first. Third chromosome becomes 2. For third chromosome, already I explained, 0.284. It was that gray chromosome. Now it became the second because for the second throw, we got that third chromosome. Pointer denoted that third chromosome. So now it is replaced in the second position. The position in the that population is now changed and the chromosome is also now replaced. So now I think it is very clear with that, what do you call, with the content now what I project here. Second chromosome, it becomes first. Third chromosome becomes second. First chromosome becomes third. So same way, so on till fourth chromosome becomes 6. Now you can note down one point. The fifth chromosome, the fifth solution is found missing. So out of 6 solutions where we started with randomly, now we are rejecting one chromosome at this stage. Only 5 chromosomes have got the chance to act as a parent for the reproduction process done. Now the population is now revised. Now it became this one. It's clear? Now I have shown you one population. Now the population has been revised. Done. So now the new population, now see here, after selection, population has been changed. Previously it was in the order of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the order has been changed to 2, 3, 1, 6, 3, 4. Done. So this is the population set after completing the selection process. Now, see, yes, done. The selection is done. Why we have done the selection process is to what is that? Is to conduct the reproduction. It is to allow those parents to take part in the crossover operation and mutation operation in order to produce better offspring, better children. Is it not? So the first step, in the reproduction process is the crossover. So in crossover here, there is a very simple pseudocode here. So it is in pseudocode I have so there is a small typographical error. It is begin 3535. Very sorry, it is only begin. So what does it say? I have 6 chromosomes in my mating pool, but all the chromosomes are not going to take part in that crossover operations, because the crossover operations, we have a freedom to select whether we are going to have 100% crossover or 25% crossover or 50% crossover, which is decided by a parameter called crossover rate. Here the crossover rate, let us assume 25%. Okay, the crossover, see here I have set crossover rate 25%. So what does it mean if it is 25%? Again, throw the dice, get the random numbers. I have 6 solutions, is it not? Get random numbers between 0 and 1, excluding 0 and 1, 6 numbers, 1 row, 6 columns. So I have got some 6 random numbers. Now check each random number. Each random number is for the each solution. If suppose say let us take R of 1. R of 1 is 0.191. So it is now below our crossover rate, crossover probability 25%. So if a random number for the particular chromosome, particular solution is below that crossover rate, then that particular parent is now selected for crossover operation. So now similarly, you just scan all the random numbers and select all the crossover chromosomes. So now we are going to select the chromosome to undergo crossover. Not all 6 are going to take part, only 25%. So now among 6, see here 0.199 first chromosome, 0.006 fourth chromosome, then what else? Yes, fifth chromosome, 0.159. So only 3 chromosomes are now selected as a crossover chromosomes. They are called as crossover chromosomes. So number of crossovers have become 3. So now done. I think now it is very clear. We have see in the first portion of crossover operation, we have decided what are the chromosomes, what are the solutions going to take part in the crossover operation. Second point, number of crossovers, 3 crossovers. Now how are you going to mate? How are you going to allow this crossover operations? I have chromosome 4, 1, 4 and 5 done. So now I repeat at this stage, already I have a population set with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Revised solutions. Now in that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the chromosome 1, chromosome 4, chromosome 5 are going to be changed after crossover operation, and other rest of the chromosomes, say 2, 3, 6 remain unaltered. They are not taking part in this crossover operations. So now after crossover, we will get three new solutions for the position 1, 4, 5. So now what is that first crossover? So we have 3 crossovers: first crossover, second crossover, third crossover. Now let us see what is that first crossover. In order to conduct this crossover operations, first I should again come to know where is that cut going to start. Sir, I think dealt very clearly single point crossover, 2-point crossover, multi-point crossover, and where do we have to cut, how we can cut. And I think you have seen one elephant picture, is it not? With the elephant picture, he has shown very clearly with head and leg he has replaced, right? The same process here. Now cut point we are again going to generate randomly. So we have 4 genes, A, B, C, D, 4 genes. Done. 4 genes I have. And now the cut points cannot be 1, 2, 3, 4 all. We will have to have cut points only from 1 to dimension -1. What is the dimension? A, B, C, D, 4. So 4 minus 1, 3. So we have the freedom to have cut points only between 1 and 3. So cut points can be 1, 2, 3. And how many crossovers? We have 3. We have 3 crossovers and we can have 3 cut points. So let us generate again 3. Let us generate 3 random numbers between 1 and 3. And those random cut points are 1, 1 and 2 here. This is example 1, 1, 2. So now for the first crossover, the cut point is 1. Second crossover, cut point is 1. Third crossover, it is 2. Let us conduct the first crossover here. So for the first crossover, we have called that first chromosome. Then we have called that fourth chromosome here. And that answer, the outcome after this first crossover, we will get a solution. That solution has to be seated in the first position of that new crossover population set. Done. So now how are you going to perform this crossover? I have first solution 2, 21, 18, 3, and next one is 20, 15, 17, 1. So it is at the first gene point, right? So I have to look at it very clear. Look at it, please, patiently. I have only 3 chromosomes, crossover chromosomes, 1, 4, and 5. So what are the possible combinations we can generate either between 1 and 4 or 4 and 5 and 5 and 1. The same way we are going to process. So you can even have different sequences also, but here I have chosen this sequence. We have complete flexibility and freedom in the algorithm. There is no hard first rules here. There is no strict procedure here. You can have any rule. But here, while performing the crossover, I'll explain only for the first crossover. You can do for the rest. For the first crossover, we have first chromosome and the fourth chromosome. First chromosome, you just have that pointer at first. Cut point is 1. Cut of 1 is 1. And let us not confuse with the cut of 2, cut of 3. Consider only cut of 1. So for the chromosome of 4 also, again, cut is at the first gene, first A, after A. So head is with chromosome 1, tail is with the chromosome 4. So we have same cut point 1, but with chromosome 1, take the head 2, and with the tail portion is taken from the chromosome 4 after gene point 1. So now we are going to club these two. So the answer is 2, 5, 17, 1. The same way you can proceed for the second crossover also. Same way you can proceed for the next crossover also. Because for the second crossover also, fortunately, we have got the same cut point. So the procedure is going to be the same. For the third crossover, the procedure is little different because the cut point is 2. Second midpoint, mean after second gene. After second gene is after B, variable B. So naturally head on the 10 and 4 from chromosome 5, tail is taken from chromosome 1, 18, 3. So the output is going to be 10, 4, 18, 3. So now we are going to update the solution after crossover. The updation is, I said very clearly, we have only 3 crossover chromosomes. So 1, 4 and 5 are replaced with those 3 outputs. What we have received after that first, second and third crossovers, replace it gently, and leaving that other chromosomes remain unaltered for chromosome 2, 3 and 6. So those chromosomes are simply the same before crossover as well as after crossover. Is it done? Now I have projected the population after selection as well as after crossover as well as before crossover. Before crossover is nothing but after selection. Done. So the answer is very clear. The last step of the process is mutation. Now the crossovered population set, the updated set is now available for mutation. Done. Now at this mutation procedure, Bhaskar sir has explained for binary mutation, but this is an integer mutation. And here totally how many genes we do have? Totally, what is the set? What is the size of the population? It is 6 rows, 4 columns, so totally 24 genes. Is it not? So how many genes are going to take part in the mutation process? Again, I have a freedom to select. I can tune also. I can change the tuning also. So now, normally we give 10%. You can rise to 15% also if at all you want to see. I mean, what is that? Change the convergence, something like. So now let us assume 10% and see how to apply that mutation process here. If it is 10%, I mean, for the crossover rate we had 25%, right? But here we don't have 25%, we have 10% because it is exploitation. The other one was the exploration. For exploration we give more space, but for exploitation we give very less percentage. Normally we will have to restrict to 10%. We don't even have 15%, right? So now 10%, what does it mean? 10%, what really does it mean? I have totally 24 genes. Out of 24 genes, only 10% of 24 genes are going to be selected for undergoing mutation. 24 genes, 10%, 10 by 100, 0.1, 0.1 multiplied by 24 is it becomes 2.4. So it is only 2 chromosomes, is right? Meaning that two genes included, only 2 chromosomes indirectly. So what are those two genes going to take part for mutation process? Now again, how are you going to decide? Again, this is also like, see, GA process, it's completely probabilistic, completely stochastic. We really play only with the random numbers. So now we are going to randomly again have 2 numbers because only 2 genes are allowed to take part in the mutation. So random numbers again between 1 and 24 because we have currently only 24 genes in our hand, is it not? So between 1 and 24, select 2 numbers randomly. So those 2 numbers, let it be 12 and 18. So what does it represent? What is this 12 and what? I mean, 12th position, 18th position. 12th position is nothing, man. See, you just imagine a matrix, 6 row, 4 columns. You just close your eyes and imagine we have a matrix with 6 rows, 4 columns. You tell me where which row column will be pointed for 12 and which row column will be pointed for 18. Naturally, for 12th position, you will have chromosome 3 being selected with gene number 4. And for 18, random number 18, naturally it will fall under 5th chromosome at gene position 2. So now we have selected 2 positions at 2 chromosomes, chromosome 3 and chromosome 5, gene number 4 and 2. Now what are you going to replace with? I've selected a gene. Next is to replace with the values for those 2 genes. Is it not? Right. Fourth gene is naturally variable D. Second gene is naturally B. What are you going to give values for these 2? Again, satisfying the boundary constraint, randomly generate number between 1 and 30 and replace these 2 positions. So now I am going to show the matrix. So previously the matrix was something else, and now we are replacing that 2 positions with 2 and 5 because those 2 numbers are now randomly generated. So 2 and 5 are randomly generated, and now we have replaced that population after crossover with those positions being replaced by 2 and 5. So now I have completely displayed all the table with population before crossover, population after crossover, and population after mutation. And now the iteration is done. One generation is done. So now what am I going to do? See, I started with random initialization process where I had one population matrix, where I had one parent matrix, but now I have got a child matrix. This fellow is now called as offspring. Okay, this is no longer a pair. This is no longer a population. This is no longer a parent. Now it has become a child. It has become offspring. Now at this stage, again, are you going to allow all these chromosomes after this mutation process in our hand for the next generation? Again, we will have to call these chromosomes for test. So again, we are going to check the quality of these solutions. So how are you going to test? The last step of this GA is going to be the complete replacement mechanism with which we can obtain the new population set, which will act as the initial population for the next generation. Like how we have started randomly in the initial first iteration. Now for the second iteration, the output, what we are going to obtain after this step 6 will become the parent, right? Now for that, we are going to call that objective function value. See, in the previous table itself, I have opened one column evaluation F objective. We have A plus 2B plus 3C plus 4D minus 30. Is it not? So for each and every chromosome, check the quality. Check the objective function value. So I have now tabulated that. Now you check, one important thing is, one thing is so much important. I'm going to, it's an iterative process. I'm going to cross generation after generation. In each generation, it is my responsibility to check whether we are really minimizing the objective. For the first generation, I've got some F objective solution table. And now that F objective is replaced with some different values. You find the average of that F objective variable values and here also, and see whether it is minimizing also. Otherwise, you can find which is the most minimum value in that box. And here now it is 37. In the previous box it was 46. Randomly when generated it was 46. Now it has become 37 after offspring production. So this is the use of reproduction process. Now we are able to improve the solution. We are not with a random solution. We are able to improve the solution. So now how are you going to replace and going to have the new population set for the next generation? Now this is final. So now I have got 6 solutions in my hand. Now instead of allowing all the 6, I'm going to allow only 5. I can allow even 4. It depends. See, here we are going to use our intelligence completely, because we will definitely have to have the elitism process. Elitism process in the sense, sometimes if we allow all the offspring and children for the next generation, sometimes we may happen to lose the best chromosome of the previous iteration. So each time it is again our responsibility to store, to save, to preserve the best solution of every generation. So in the previous generation, what is the most minimum objective value solution? You have that. Now you introduce that. That solution is now highlighted in the yellow color, 12, 24, 13, 14. So that is that 46, the solution which brings 46 in the previous iteration. So now I am going to allow only 5 best children of that offspring produced after mutation process. Clear? I have a population set after mutation process, right? So now yellow highlighted solution is now removed. That is removed. Why? Because that fellow has got a very, very poor fitness. That fellow, see, I have even highlighted with red color 93. See, our objective is to reduce the optimization is reducing the objective. So it is 93. So now let us remove that yellow chromosome and let us introduce the red chromosome. Red chromosome is nothing but the best chromosome of the previous generation. So now the population is now completely revised, and this becomes the outcome of the first generation are the input for the second generation. So now this is where we complete the GA process. This is how GA continues generation after generation, and we will converge at one point based on the stopping criteria, whether it depends upon the maximum number of the functional evaluations or some other criteria, or even with the multiple criteria. Done. I think now I have made I think I've made sense, and what sir has explained in theory is very well applied for a very simple mathematical problem. And tomorrow definitely we will have Mirna ma'am in our session to explain how to develop a MATLAB code to attack any optimization problem. And now let me end up this session, and now let me hand over it to my one of the coordinators.
Thank you, madam. Now there is a question from the audience. The first question is how to determine probability of crossover rate.
Yes, the question is suited very well. I appreciate it. Thank you, participant. So now it is crossover rate. I said very clearly, we play only with the reproduction operators, crossover and mutation. And moreover, the algorithm is so flexible. It is having complete freedom, is it not, to decide the crossover probability also. Normally I have given you one hint whether we are in right track or not, because it is a search process. I'm going to search for the right appropriate values for A, B, C, D in a problem. Am I right? So in that case, I can check in each and every generation whether the objective function is minimizing. If it is not minimizing, sometimes if it is getting maximized somewhere, then naturally I will have to look at those tuning parameters. One of the tuning parameters is this crossover rate. So at that stage, if it is 0.25 in the previous generation, now again you have the freedom to convert it to 20. So even for some number of generations, you can have some crossover rate, and some 25 generation, next 25 generations, you can have some other crossover rate. So this way also you can tune. There is no again hard fast rules that you will definitely have to have like this. But normally we don't go for 100% crossover. But even if you give 100% crossover, definitely the problem will converge to the right solution at some point. But the computational burden may be there, or even that it may be time consuming sometimes. So the getting answer is secondary. So first thing, I will have to look at the computational burden also, because it's a very simplest problem that is different. Moreover, it's an unconstrained problem. If it's going to be a constrained problem, if it's going to take more time, then I will have to look at all those tuning parameters, and I will definitely have to play on those parameters. Done. It depends upon the intelligence.
Thank you, madam. Another question from the participant: how to determine stopping criteria? I repeat, how to determine the stopping criteria.
Normally, ma'am, to start with, if you are a novice, if you are a beginner, you try to have one stopping criteria, maximum number of generations. Normally, every beginner will have to have maximum number of generations as a stopping criteria. But once you become expertized in that session, definitely you can go for the next stopping criteria, where we can introduce maximum number of functional evaluations. See, here I have chosen 6 for the population size. Is it not? Is it not? So, but in one iteration itself, how many times I have called that functional evaluation A plus 2B plus 3C plus 4D minus 30. So that wise, generation after generation, you can have a counter open to calculate the total number of maximum functional evaluations. Then if functional evaluations crosses 10,000, stop the iterations. So that ways you can have sometimes 2 stopping criteria also. Whichever comes first, then you can stop it. Maximum number of generations 500, and maximum number of functional evaluations 10,000. If one of the criteria comes first, then stop it. That way is also, I mean, this is all like playing around intelligence again.
Thank you, ma'am. Another question from the participant: what basis crossover is selected, and how to measure the efficiency of crossover? I repeat, what basis crossover is selected, and how to measure the efficiency of crossover?
But I think before shooting this question, you might have had this. Before shooting this question, you might have had this question in your mind, but back of your brain. But now, definitely, you must have got the answer for this question. I don't have to repeat the answer, because crossover rate, it is everything. It's done. Otherwise, answer would be repeating.
Okay. Thank you, madam. Thank you. Thank you for the for your kind attention, participants. Tomorrow, please join the session by 9:30. The link will be sent to your mail ID. And also we have sent the WhatsApp group. Please kindly join the WhatsApp group. And tomorrow the session will be handled by Dr. S. Mirnajo Amali, professor from KLM College of Engineering. And the attendance link for the today's session is available in the chat box. I kindly request all the participants to fill the attendance details. Thank you. Thank you.